Time to debunk some more terrible financial TikToks. Into the fray we go.
Is a CD a good investment? It is for banks, not for individuals. The reason banks want you to put in a CD is because they operate on what's called a fractional reserve lending system. I know that's a lot.
All right, we already have a bunch of issues. Before I talk about what's the use of a CD, let's just watch this with a thought in your mind. I'm going to give you something to think about. Is his argument also applicable to checking and savings accounts? Because truth be told, should you put all your money in a checking and savings account? No. But you and I both know there's obvious utility to having bank accounts. We actually, in the United States, have a problem when people are underbanked, when they don't have access to a checking or savings account. So whatever argument he gives you here, keep those types of accounts in mind. He might be accidentally dismissing the use and value of a bank entirely with his argument here. And don't worry, guys, we are going to talk about CDs, specifically CD ladders, in just a moment, because CDs actually have some serious value they can offer people. Let's keep going, though.
Basically, whatever they have on deposit, they can lend out 10 times as much. So if you open a CD for $100,000, they can lend $1 million to people. That's going to translate to them making on average 50% for all of your money that's in a CD, and you get 2%. Doesn't seem like a very fair exchange. So for banks, CDs are great. For people, not so much.
Okay, first, 50% is a real red flag unless you added in some amount of time frame. The S&P 500 on average returns a solid 10%, and some of those years are up 30%, some are down 20%, but historically 10%. So the idea that if you park money into a one-year CD, that a bank is magically making 50% on it, that seems very unlikely. It seems extraordinarily unlikely. Now, why is he saying this? Well, to me, it screams that this person only associates with 20-year-olds. Like, I swear to God, I'm getting serious frat bro vibes coming from him. He is not thinking about the big picture. CDs have a lot of value to offer, even young investors at times. So what is a CD? You basically take some cash and you lock it up at a bank. And it's insured up to $250,000. It's a really safe place to park your money. What are some uses for CDs? Well, here's an example if you're young. I'm saving for a house. I want to buy a house in 1 year from now. I know in a year I need my money available. And I don't want to worry about market conditions, but I'm not going to buy a house anytime sooner than that. Maybe I have some other things I need to take care of before I start shopping around. Well, if I have some money set off to the side, I might lock it up for a year in a CD. It'll give me a better interest rate than a savings account because the bank is giving me a little bit more interest since they're locking it down for a year, unlike a savings account when I can withdraw at any time, or a money market fund, which I can withdraw from at any time. Giving up that ability to withdraw without penalties, in most cases, allows me to lock in a slightly better rate of return. Nice. That's a good use for a young investor. Again, this is just a hypothetical. It may or may not apply to you. For old people, we're looking at you retirees in the chat, getting during your golden years, feeling so good. Some interesting things you could consider with CDs is something like a CD ladder. And what you do is you buy a bunch of different CDs at different time intervals. So maybe you have a 1-year CD, a 2-year CD, a 3-year CD, etc. And then what happens is after a year, the 1-year CD comes up, you get your principal back, you've made some money off of it. You then go and proceed to buy a long-term CD because it has a longer duration, longer time before you get your money back. It comes with a higher interest rate. And if you keep repeating that process, you take the new CD that expires and then buy an old CD, you eventually end up with a CD ladder, a bunch of CDs all coming up every single year, providing you an interest rate that's the long-term interest rate. Because what's happening is you're replacing the short-term CDs with longer-term ones, and then the longer-term CDs are getting closer and effectively are becoming short-term CDs, but they have that locked-in longer rate of return. So you might have a CD that you locked up for 9 years, but you're 8 years in, so it's coming up in 1 year, but that interest rate hasn't changed. You locked in a higher interest rate because you went long-term. By stacking all your CDs over time, you have a nice, very safe, reliable way of getting fixed income from a bank. And even if that bank went under, it is FDIC insured, which is lovely. Absolutely lovely. So, TLDR, this guy is missing the point. A lot of financial products have value. It's about how you use them. The creator of this video is obviously missing the idea that there is sometimes other priorities that is not long-term growth, like reliable income, safe income during retirement, saving for a house, etc. Ultimately, I give it 2 thumbs down, and it reeks. I mean, you could smell that this reeks of financial ignorance coming from a 20-year-old who's focused on trying to make as much money as possible. Next, the proper order of investing. Okay, I like this. This gives me good vibes. Why? Because there is an order to investing. First, before you even start putting your money into investments, you have other things you need to do. And then when you get to investing, there is an order to where you want to put money in terms of accounts, whether you want to put money into a Roth IRA, a 401k, a non-retirement account, etc. I hope he hits on that. His little tag here is basic financial literacy. Makes me very optimistic. It's not like 420 YOLO, man. Let's see, though. If the good vibes I'm getting live up.
$250 is the minimum amount you'd be paying a financial advisor for the information I'm about to tell you for free. There's like a bajillion different types of accounts you can put your money in, and no one ever tells you what the order is you should put it in order to maximize how far it goes and minimize your taxes. So I will. The first one is the closest thing to free money there is. Your employer 401k match. If you
Love that, love that, love that. He's totally right, totally right. If your employer offers a match, when you put money in, you get an immediate 100% return. Immediate 100% return. You're not going to get 100% on anything. Now, mind you, that match could be vested. You might need to wait 5 or so years to get the full value of it. It's parked in the account, but if you leave early, they claw some of it back. But still, it's effectively an 100% return. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
have one and contribute at least up to this amount. Second one, your Roth IRA. This is the best way to get tax-free growth on your investment. Vanguard and Fidelity are both good places to do this, and you can contribute up to $6,500 per year.
Love that. There are income limits around the Roth IRA, so if you make a ton of money, 1, you might not qualify for Roth IRA, and 2, the tax benefits of a pre-tax 401k might be better than the Roth IRA. But he is right for the average person. Usually you start with the 401k match, then you look at a Roth IRA because your tax bracket isn't that high, so might as well pay the taxes on income right now on the money you're investing in it, and later on get all that growth that comes from the account out later in life when you're retired, tax-free. Roth IRAs are so hot, so unbelievably hot. Look, I'm not saying that financial products are sexy, but I would say if they were sexy, Roth IRAs and index funds would by far be the sexiest two characters in the entire financial world. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but it is true. They are hot. All right. Love that. Love that. Also, his choices of brokerages, I really respect that. I like 3, Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab. I'm a little biased. Used to work at Vanguard, but all 3 of them are great. I have family members and friends who use all those 3. They are the serious grown-up brokerages. They're not going to try to nickel and dime you like so many fintech companies will, or so many smaller brokerages.
3, your HSA, health savings account. The money you put in is not taxed. The money you take out is not taxed as long as it's for medical expenses, and you can grow and invest the money within this account tax-free.
Love that. It's only available, though, if you have a high deductible plan. So you might not get an HSA if you have health insurance that's geared towards people who have high health expenses. A high deductible plan comes of a high deductible, and a deductible is what you have to pay before your health insurance company steps in and tries to help you out in most cases. There are some rare exceptions, but generally speaking, that's how it works. So if you have a high deductible, you're basically saying, I probably don't need the medical industry to help me out here at all. Hopefully, I have no medical expenses because it's going to take a lot of my money coming from my pocket if I do run into problems before the health insurance industry steps in. If you get a low deductible plan, it doesn't take much money coming out of your wallet before the health industry steps in and your insurance company, your provider, tries to help you out some. So HSAs are very common for people in good health, and particularly people who are young, who are unlikely to run into serious health issues. But he is correct in terms of an HSA has that triple tax advantage as long as the money, when you withdraw it, is going towards healthcare expenses. That's the kicker. But honestly, if you get a healthcare savings account while you're young and let it build up, I would bet that you later in life will have some health expenses. assuming we don't have a giant universal system built out in the future. In the United States, I have no idea what we're going to do. It'd be great if we grew up and decided to do the whole universal healthcare thing. I have no idea what that's going to mean for an HSA account, but on paper right now, HSAs are pretty darn awesome.
HSA is optional. It's not right for everybody, so make sure you research that one thoroughly. Step 4, back to your 401k. Max that out. $22,500 is the max for 2023. Next up is your taxable brokerage account. This is
So far, pretty good order. I have no immediate complaints. Is it perfect for everybody? No, but generally speaking, it has the right idea. You're prioritizing tax advantages and trying to give the government as little as possible.
just a regular stock market account, much like your retirement accounts, but there's no cap on it. You could just throw all your money towards that, or you could go real estate, you could do crypto. The world's pretty much...
That last bit hurts a little bit. Last bit hurts. You got all the way to the non-retirement account, and you should mention that the reason why non-retirement accounts are at the end is even though they're the most flexible, they come with the most taxes. And then you mentioned real estate, and that's fine. You could always do REITs if you want to do it via a fund, or you could actually buy real estate. But that crypto mention at the end, oh, that hurts. That hurts. After having a really good personal finance talk the whole way through, sounding like solid guidance on how to avoid taxes or minimize your tax liability, you have to mention crypto at the end. Really? Oh, God. I give it a severed thumbs up. It was so good, but that little last mention being like, oh, by the way, 401k, Roth IRA, you know what's appropriate for this conversation? Crypto, baby. Oh, God, that hurts my soul. God. Come on, man. Come on. You had to mention crypto at the end. Burns my soul. Next, we got some Mark Cuban advice on Dave Ramsey. I believe I know this clip, and it's going to be a controversial one. It's a little off screen over here, but it's 2.7 million views, and it's talking about credit cards, which is a very interesting financial tool, and in one that is heavily, heavily, heavily overrated. Credit cards are fine, but you do not need one. Let's see, though, what Mark Cuban says regarding credit cards and whether it's truly wise advice.
If you use your credit cards, you do not want to be rich. And people then they ask me, well, where's the best place to invest? I said, your best place to invest is to pay off all your credit cards and burn them. Because your credit card, you know what your return is, right? If you get off, you're paying 15, 20% interest in one way or the other. And if you pay that down, you just earn 15 or 20%.
So here's the deal. When it comes to paying off credit card debt, he's absolutely correct. Paying off debt is often one of the best investments you can make because you already know your rate of return. This is not very much appreciated by even financial professionals. There'll be people who say, oh, you don't have to pay off your 7% student debt because you might make 10% in the market. You might make 10% in the market. You might, but some of those years are going to be down 20%. Some might be up 30%. You could be down 20% for 4 years in a row. Who knows? But what's nice about debt is you already know what your rate of return is. If you pay off 7% debt, it's the same as buying a 7% investment that offers a guaranteed rate of return, which doesn't exist, by the way. You're not going to get 7% from a U.S. Treasury bond. But you can get a guaranteed 7% by just paying off debt. Now, here's the thing about credit cards. If you are financially responsible, in my opinion, there's no reason to not have a credit card. Might as well get your 2% flat cash back on all your purchases because you know you'll never be in debt. You have an emergency fund ready to go to bail you out if times get tough. Now, if you keep finding yourself carrying even a little bit of a bounce on your credit card from month to month, get rid of it. Get rid of it. But for people who never go into credit card debt, at the end of every month, always pay it off, just get a credit card. Get one of no annual fee, flat cash back, and you'll be great. Though, I will say, to Mark Cuban's credit, most people shouldn't have a credit card. The data shows that during the second half of 2022, over 50% of people who have an active credit card carried a bounce. A little over 50% of them actually had money carried over and they paid some interest on it. So for credit card usage in society, most people who have one shouldn't. But that may or may not apply to you. So this has 70,000 views, and when I saw it, I grew concerned. I grew very concerned. Startup investing is very risky. Very, very, very risky. There's a very high chance a startup will fail. So for most people, you should not be investing in a startup. You want to protect what money you make and let it grow in a reasonable manner.
Reid Hoffman allegedly made over $100 million after investing just $37,000 into Facebook in 2004 when the startup was valued at just $5 million.
So the problem of examples like that is it doesn't talk about all the other startups that died a miserable death. Most startups fail. That's a fact. That's not up for debate. Even the survivors do okay. And of the survivors, you get like the Facebook. This is like your Jesus of the survivors, the real standout from all the average ones. The average startup is going to die straight up. There's no hope there. So when you hear the story, this is like saying, guys, lottery tickets. Have you heard about this person who put $1 in and made $100 million? The lottery ticket was only $1. It's the exact same thing, exact same logic.
Historically, angel investing was only accessible to the ultra wealthy. But in 2016, the SEC enacted Regulation CF, which allows you to invest in startup deals like Facebook. And this is how it works. P.S. I'm Ruffin, your MBA girly. I'm teaching you everything I learned from my $200,000 UCLA Anderson MBA. Reg CF allows startups to crowdfund up to $5 million in investment dollars from non-accredited investors. Startup investing is incredibly risky. In fact, the majority of investments fail and investment dollars go to zero. For that reason, the SEC limits the investment amounts you can make based on your annual income and net worth. Today, anyone can find active deals and easily invest through platforms like Republic, Start Engine, and WeFunder.
I kind of hate this one. It's like, by the way, everything is bad about startups, but let's spend most of my time hyping it up, right? You might get your lottery ticket and you're going to do great. Check out these platforms that likely come with very high fees. And why don't I just briefly mention all the danger signs along the way? Really, it goes back to the lottery. It's like, hey, by the way, you could win the lottery. And now it's available to everybody. And you can put up to $1,000 in the lottery and you might win. But truth be told, most people will lose. And even if you use a fancy platform, it's probably full of a bunch of fees, and you're also probably going to lose anyways. I hate this TikTok. I do. I genuinely hate it. This TikTok preys on people's desire to become rich, and it starts off with that as the pitch. Oh, by the way, for just putting in tens of thousands of dollars, you made millions. You can do great. It preys on the get-rich quickness, and sets up that as the foundation before giving you some warning signs, but you're already hooked. They hook you in hook, line, and sinker. Double thumbs down. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Guys, you like when it comes to being successful with money, you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose it because when you lose all your money, you can't make anymore. You're at zero. Well-diversified, low-cost index funds are typically the best way to generate money because you have your money in tons of already successful companies. Instead of trying to gamble on trying to find the next Meta, why not just buy Meta? And Apple, and Microsoft, and Exxon, and Chevron, and just buy all of them. Buy all of them. Novel, right? Novel. And on top of that, let me add one more point here. On top of that, if you use like a total market fund, you can buy thousands of US companies. Companies you've never even heard of. VTI has about 4,000 different companies in the ETF. In there is probably the next Apple, Meta, Google, etc. You get the idea. Within that ETF, there are probably the next major companies already in the market, but you haven't heard of them yet. They're too small. Apple and Microsoft were in the stock market for a long time before they blew up. So if you get a well-diversified fund, screw trying to gamble to put a good chunk of your net worth into a startup that's probably going to fail. Just buy the market, and you will likely have the next big winners that the market produces because you own so many different companies. 2.3 million views on this one, the wealthy mindset. I'm getting serious Rich Dad Poor Dad vibes from this. Let's take a look.
The poor mindset will receive income and spend every single penny. The middle class mindset will receive income, buy liabilities straight away, which goes out as an expense. The wealthy mindset will use income to buy assets that produce more income that's then used to buy liabilities.
No. No, 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 That misses the whole point. Wait. You were doing so well. I was not expecting that plot twist. I feel like we're at the end of the book and all of a sudden your favorite character turned out to be the villain the whole time. Poor mindset is correct. You go from income to expenses, or income to liabilities, expenses, and out. You're not building any assets. To play the game of capitalism, you need to build capital, aka assets. So you need to find a way to take income and build assets, period. For middle class, it is true that they typically build up liabilities, like maybe getting a car on a loan. And that doesn't help them, right? If you borrow a bunch of money to get a car, a nice car, that's a luxury. And you're adding more to your pool of debt, things you have to gear income towards that are not making you money. Wealthy people who are successful, do in fact take their money that they generate via income and put it into assets, aka they play the game of capitalism. Now, the idea that you have to go from income to liabilities next doesn't make any sense. You just go from income to assets. Every liability and expense takes you away from being wealthy, unless you're taking a liability like borrowing money to buy a rental property, but then that's going from liabilities to assets. All in all, mostly crap today. There was one saving grace, except that guy then immediately mentioned crypto at the end, which tore my heart in two. But overall, 2 thumbs down, generally speaking, on this batch of TikToks. And it hurts my soul. And to think these are being viewed by tens of thousands, if not millions of people, it breaks my heart. Subscribe and like if you want to keep seeing me debunk these terrible TikToks and seeing the pain it causes me. Thank you.